welcome back to my craft table, you beauteous people. I hope everyone is well, and wherever you are in the world is everything's just well. I hope that for you. So I'm just jumping in to do I'm not sure if it'll be quick video. I'd like it to be, but I'm not sure. For my friend Annie Claxton. I just finished watching her latest video of Happy Mail for the Bonkers Quilt, and people had sent in heart-shaped Suffolk Puffs. And so, and he's like, how do you do this? How do you do this? So I thought I would just, didn't really actually, have much going on. So, I mean, there's plenty I could do. Like chores and whatnot, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't think anyone would appreciate me banging around the house cleaning, so I'm crafting, which is my favorite thing to do. So I thought I would show how I make heart Suffolk Puffs or yo-yos, because I have a couple of ways, and again, I haven't gone and looked. This is just how I worked it out. There might be people who do something much simpler or completely same. I don't know. I tend not to. When I have an idea of, I wonder if that will work, I don't go and look at videos, because I don't want people to think I'm ripping them off. I just caveat it with, I know I haven't invented this method, but I did work it out for myself, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know what it is out there in the interwebbies in terms of making Suffolk Puffs that are in heart shape. So I've got a little collection here, and I've got my tea dyed paper down just to stop the glare off the desk. So I'll go through what's here. So I have a set of clover, excuse the rustling, set of clover Suffolk Puff makers, or yo-yo makers. It's called Quick Yo-Yo Maker, and I bought these in the 90s. And I unearthed them again from my craft. Pardon me. I unearthed them from Craft Hub last year, and have been making them for various slow stitch projects. And so I originally would make a heart one by making by making an circle yo-yo Suffolk Puff, and then just stitching down in the middle at circles don't have sides, but just picking a point and just putting some tacking stitches down in there and bringing it through the middle, and then up again and down again. And that works a bit, but you can't really get a point. I mean, you can pull and pull and pull on the end and get kind of a point, but it won't stay. It'll always go back to a circle. So it's basically a circle with a dent in it, but it's still a heart shape. It's just not really defined at the end, but it's still really cute as. So that's how I did that one. Now I wanted to try to do hearts that had more of a point. So I kind of used the premise of how these little things work, and found after a couple of trials and errors and stuff, found a way that pretty much works similar to these sets. You're going to need some paper, some really stiff cardboard, and some glue. You just want glue, like a glue stick glue, you just want to literally put like a dot in the middle to stop the fabric shifting on the stencil, the way that this little bit holds the fabric in place for these templates. So the glue is basically doing the job of that. And so I hope that makes sense. So and also when you're cutting out your templates from your cardboard, to get a symmetrical heart, I think most people know, you fold it half and you cut it that way. Best to do it on a piece of paper first and then trace it out onto your card, because you don't want your card having a score line in it where it will buckle, and because you want that like as firm as this thing. So kind of basing off the premise of this, that is what I have done with making these Suffolk Puffs. Now this one is cute. It's got a little, my thing, it's got a little Santa koala, which is, I don't know why I'm holding up so down. Little Santa koala. So you can see these, just like I keep pulling it out to just kind of train it a bit, but you can see the difference in the points is much more defined on this, but that's still heartish, so this one I did without tucking the edges under, because when you use this properly, you have lovely neat folded hem tuck kind of thing, or sometimes all I do is put the fabric in there just to get a good circle, cut it out, and then I running stitch around the circle, and I'm okay with the raw edges showing. So I did that by just tracing out a heart and just doing running stitches around it. I'll show you how I work the kind of in bit. Words hard. This one is a bit munted. This was horrible material. Like I started stitching it. It was just awful. Like I couldn't get the needle through easily, and I just like and you see it's just so stiff, and I don't know if there's something on it, or don't even know where I got it from, but it was not a joy to stitch through, and that's why that kind of area is a bit messy. So I did another sample with nicer fabric that's just beautiful. So that's got the folded edge here, and you can see that's got like more of a defined point at the bottom. So I did them in the same colors, the same material. So that one's from the yo-yo with just the tacking stitches, and this one is this size template. So how that it shrinks because you got to scrunch it in, and I did manage, look at the size of this, I did manage to, like, without much fuss, be able to do one this size, and that came out, it's got fluff on it, that came out quite well as well, quite defined. And of course you can define it more by stitching into it and all that kind of stuff, but just as it sits, just basic like construction, it sits pretty good as a heart. So yeah, and that's that size. So I've got small, medium, large. I kind of went for 3 basic sizes, and yeah, so I thought I'd bring you along and show you how I do the Suffolk Puff. So I'm going to do the one with the turned over edge, because the one with the raw edge is literally cut a heart, then do running stitch around the edge, not too close that it's going to fall out if it frays, But you got to make sure you have an even stitch along there, and then you just pull it in like you would a hemmed one, and and then you just have a heart-shaped Suffolk puff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some material. What have I got? I want some material that's not going to be awful to stitch in, and that you'll be able to see on the camera, so don't go for a dark colour. That might work. Is that okay? Alright, so I'm just going to move all these over here. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so what we're going to do, you need to allow for the hem seam allowance thing. So when I talk about gluing this on, it's literally that much, just that much, which I just did twice. I'm not sure why I did that. It is literally just stop it sliding around so you can stitch around it without it shifting. And so then we're going to, I'm just going to cut, I want my bigger scissors actually. I'm just going to cut this here. And then, so how I do it with the folded edge down, I leave enough, I'll just cut so I can show you what I'm talking about. So how I do it is I actually fold, that's a bit big, fold it down to the template, like to the side of the template, and then when I go to stitch it, we fold it over the template. So that's what we're aiming for. So cut an allowance that you are going to be comfortable working with. If it's too thin, you might be like cranky and sweary and cursing if you're anything like me. When we come to the what do we call this bit in a heart shape? Divot? Not point? I don't know. Anyway, so I'll show you the best way I've worked out, because I used to just kind of cut it in the normal heart shape, but I found and then cut it down there, but then I found that left a really weird gappy bit. So how I do it now is I cut it to the template on that side, and then I cut this around. So you still have the shape, but you're going to be folding these in, and it doesn't leave this space here. So if that makes sense. So I'm going to keep doing this. Now I don't know if any of you have done glue basting, or just like kind of gluing things on to hold them in place before you stitch on them. It works a treat, especially if you're using like a glue stick. I find that the glue doesn't really stay in the material at all, and it's definitely not, I don't notice it stitching through it, doesn't gum up your needle. In saying all that, I only use the smallest amounts. So I start on the straight edge here, and I'm just lightly dabbing the very edge, because what I want to do is push this to the template edge, and I didn't dab enough. It is a brand new glue stick, so it might Might be a bit sealed, if that makes sense. Okay. So I fold it into the edge of the template. And I do a little bit at a time. Because with you handling it so much, it will kind of keep coming undone. Because this isn't like super permanent or anything like that. It's barely temporary. I already threaded my needle. Look at me being all organised. Just put a knot in it. So, how I do this. So again, just to clarify, this is just what I worked out on my own. This is not the all and end all and the best way ever and all that kind of thing. Yeah, this is just what I worked out. And Kazani's like, how do you do that? And I was like, well, I know how I do it. I will... Annie, you better be watching. Say hi if you're watching. So what I've done is I've hidden my knot in this folded over hem. And then I'm folding it over on top of the template. Now you can see, because of my glue spot in the middle, the fabric's just staying there, but I do hold it where that glue is as well, just for, cases. And I'm going to come back up through here. And then, because with the cardboard, you stitch, hope I'm going to make sense when I talk about this, you stitch to the cardboard, and then just slide and then bring up another stitch. I hope that makes sense. That's why it's good having a cardboard template, because it won't just automatically go through it. You can kind of use it as a way to slide and get to the next point. You don't want really big stitches because it won't have the shape. I tended to make the stitches similar to what you would use on a yo-yo template, the Clover brand. So I just kind of emulated that kind of thing. And you don't need to put glue on every area. You can if you want. It does help. Sorry. It does help with the curves and stuff. Now, I don't clip the curves, because when you're sewing you tend to clip the curves so it can curve better. Not with this. My experience has been that does not work. It just creates more fraying areas. So but if you want to learn that for yourself, then go ahead. That's totally fine. But you can learn from my experiences where I was trying to work out the best way to get the best shape. Was definitely not like splicing the area. You know how you cut kind of along there? It just created too many splits in the fabric. So you can see I've kind of folded this bit over, and so I'm going to take another stitch here and then come up and grab that pleat so that is stitched in, and you can see that's starting to hug the template. And you do because it's not the Clover template with that handy clicky inny thingy, you do have to kind of have all your fingers gripping in different spaces. So I've got my I got my fingers on the back covering that area. I've put this on inside out. Oh, doesn't matter. That's just for show anyway. And so again, just putting the needle under that pleat and pulling through. Oops, got a knot. Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate when all your fingers are being used. I did pull that side off, so That's all right. See, and you see how that's starting to hug the thing, and you've got the hemmed side. And then we fold it to the template edge and then fold over. I think I might have moved it a little bit. No. And so when you're cutting around and you're leaving your allowance, just play with what you're comfortable, and depends on how free prone your material is as well. If it is very fray prone, then I would definitely leave a lot more so you get a really good turnover. That's popping out. And you're trying to also catch in your stitches the turn over part as well. It does kind of pop out. And if you're using things like cotton, it will, because if you're pushing on it to stitch it, it actually kind of finger presses it as you're going, which is kind of cool. There we go. And then we're jumping over. Oh, that's sliding off a bit. It is fidgety. Absolutely fidgety. No doubt about it. But not so much that like it's constantly falling apart and it's just like, is this really worth the hassle? It actually is quite simple, and it's pretty easy. And when I say fidgety, it's just the kind of where you're turning on under hems and stitching kind of fidgety, not questioning your existence kind of fidgety. So I'm just trying to glue this. Glue this, like I said, it's a new stick, but it's not doing what it's supposed to do. I wonder why it's not sticking very well, because I don't want to put too much on, but it's barely sticking at all. But you can do the turn under thing without glue at all. I just find it makes it you need to hold less things in less places if you've got some glue on there. I have rocked that up a little bit, so there we go. So yeah, as you can see, this is not gluing, so I'll just do it without glue. So another pleat there, and that. And then fold. So you folding to the template line and then folding that hem over the template edge onto itself. And then every time there's a pleat, you want to make sure you go under it and catch all the layers of the fabric, and that's how you get the heart definition shape. And that's too big to just go once, so we'll do a couple of stitches in there. I hope this helps anyone who wants to do a Suffolk puff in the shape of a heart and doesn't actually have... I don't know if they sell actual templates for it, to be honest. Again, I didn't look. I just was like, oh, I wonder if this would work. And it does, and it works well enough for me, so I don't need to make hundreds of them. So it's, and as you can see, like I said, it's a bit fidgety, but it's really not that bad. In terms of fidget level, it's a very low fidget level, and immensely doable, and yeah, pretty quick when you just sat there just doing it, without yapping on camera and whatnot. which I am doing now. Now the key thing too is don't do back stitches. I mean, if you're used to making Suffolk Puffs, so I'll just pause that thought. So I've come to the point, and that is actually stitched, and that will hold better once I pull it really tight. But we've come to the point, so what I'm doing is I'm folding along there that way, and then we're coming and we're going to fold it. It is wanting to pop out a bit, and my glue's not gluing. I'll just put the lid on while I'm thinking of it. And then I want to turn that under there, and so then that's pretty much brought me nearly to the beginning, and then you can see how. So again, we want to get that. Now don't do multiple stitches to lock it in, because you will not be able to gather it up, and don't do back stitches to ink or anything, because yeah, that comes after we take it off the template. You can do all that stuff. So you give it a good pull, and it's on the template. You can see that we've got the folded edge, and though this bit's kind of not going down in that valley there, then that's all right, because it does do it when we pull it off. So what I do is just take the point off, and then you pretty much be able to slide the template out, and see it's not even sticky or anything, although that wasn't sticking very well. But I haven't found a problem with it with other glue being a problem after the fact. So I've just got a thumb or a finger in there. I'm just gently pulling till it's all gathered, and you're like, oh no, it just looks like a normal Suffolk Puff. But wait, it actually doesn't turn into a normal Suffolk Puff. See, you can already see there's, like, it's not quite circle. So it does take a bit of, just like with circle Suffolk Puffs, where you have to kind of move it around and pinch it and hold it and get all the little gathers in the right area. You'd have to do this for the heart too. Now here we go. So you can see that's a beautiful little point down there, and just dun dun dun. Now the best way I have found with the valley, because it is there, it's just a bit poofy in that area coming on the other side. Now again, I'll just reiterate, this is what I found works best for me. Other people may have much better ways of doing it. If you do, please feel free to share. But for me, this is what I do. So now we can do our anchoring stitches to keep our little Suffolky puff heart in shape. And so I'm just taking it through all the hemmy bits up to the top. And then dong. So I've come up here, and what I want to do is go up in the material, so you're inside, so you're not seeing that stitch, and then you're doing the tiniest stitch down, so like it'll be barely visible, and then going back down to the middle. And when you pull that creates the really definitive peak, the opposite of peak, not peak. And yeah, so, and it can be a bit boofy, and you can fix that with stitching it down some more. It depends which side you're showing, because for me, I love the ruched look So when I use them, I always have them this way up. If I wanted them like with the seam area down, I wouldn't bother doing the seaming. I would only use the raw edges because it does lay a lot flatter, and you know, then you can kind of stitch that top bit a bit more careful, I suppose is the word. But when you're doing it this way up, it just sits beautifully. And yeah, it's a little boof on that side, but that's okay. Yeah, and that's how I make a Suffolk Puff / yo-yo heart. So yeah, and that's it. I'll just anchor these little bits. Oh, one of my hems popped out of the middle. Let's stick that back in and stitch it down. Yeah, feel free to take the idea and run with it or adapt it to what you think might work. You know, I kind of worked on the premise of how these things work, so you know, other people might be able to develop it even further, or even there might even be a heart-shaped one of these. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. And yeah, I hope this helps. I hope this helps show you how to make little Suffolk Puff hearts. So these are our hearts. This one's a yucky one, and this one's the one from a circle. So I'll leave that on there. But yeah, that's Suffolk Puff hearts. So thank you for joining me, and if you've subscribed, if you've liked any of my videos or commented, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's very sweet of you, and I will see you in the very next video. Okay, take care. Bye.